Welcome to Brainish English Stories.
It's not common for regular people like John and me to rent old family houses for the summer. Our house is very old, and some people believe it might be haunted. I must admit that there's something strange about it. Why else would it be rented at such a low price, and why has it been empty for so long? John finds my thoughts amusing, but that's expected in a marriage. He's very practical and doesn't have patience for faith or superstitions. He openly mocks anything that can't be proven. John is a doctor, and maybe, I wouldn't say this to anyone else, but it's just between us on this paper, that's one reason why I'm not getting better. He doesn't think I'm really sick. So, what can I do? When a respected doctor, who also happens to be my husband, tells friends and family that I'm only suffering from temporary nervousness and a bit of hysteria, what choice do I have? My brother is a doctor too, and he says the same thing. So, I'm taking medicines and vitamins and have been told not to work until I'm better. Personally, I don't agree with them. I think doing something I enjoy, with excitement and change, would help me recover faster. But what can I do? I did try writing secretly for a while, but it tires me out because I have to be sneaky about it or face strong opposition. So, I'll stop worrying about it and talk about the house instead. The house is in a beautiful place. It's all by itself, about 3 miles away from the village, and it reminds me of the English places you read about. The garden is delightful. I've never seen such a beautiful garden. It's large and shady, with paths bordered by boxwood and covered with grapevines. There are benches under the grapevines. There's still something unusual about the house, and I can sense it. I even told John one night when the moon was out, but he said what I felt was just a breeze and closed the window. I sometimes get unreasonably angry with John. I'm sure I never used to be so easily upset. I think it's because of my nervous condition. But John says that if I feel this way, I won't be able to control myself properly, so I make an effort to control my emotions, at least when I'm around him. That makes me very tired. I really don't like our room. I wanted one downstairs with a nice view and roses outside the window, along with pretty old-fashioned curtains. But John didn't agree. He said there was only one window and not enough space for 2 beds, and no nearby room for him if he slept in another. He's very caring and doesn't let me do much without his instructions. I have a strict schedule for every hour of the day. He takes care of everything for me, and I should be more thankful, but sometimes I feel bad about it. He said we came here just for me to rest and get lots of fresh air. Your exercise depends on how strong you are, he told me, and your food depends on your appetite, but you can always have fresh air. So, we took the room at the top of the house. It's a big room with lots of windows that look in every direction. It used to be a nursery, and then a playroom and gymnasium, I think, because there are bars and things on the walls. The paint and wallpaper look like a boys' school used it, and it's peeling off in big pieces all around my bed, up to where I can reach, and in a big spot on the other side of the room. I've never seen worse wallpaper in my life. It has a wild pattern that breaks every rule of art. It's so dull that it confuses your eyes, and it's so bold that it's annoying and makes you study it. When you try to follow the patterns for a bit, they suddenly go in crazy directions and make no sense. The colors are terrible too, like a dirty, faded yellow, and sometimes an ugly orange or a sickly yellow. No wonder the kids didn't like it. I would hate it too if I had to live in this room for long. Here comes John, and I have to stop writing. He doesn't like me to write. We've been here for 2 weeks, and I didn't feel like writing until today. I'm sitting by the window in this awful nursery, and nothing is stopping me from writing as much as I want, except that I'm not very strong. John is away all day, and sometimes even at night when he has serious cases to attend to. I'm grateful my situation isn't serious. But these nervous problems are really sad. John doesn't know how much I'm suffering. He thinks there's no reason for it, and that's enough for him. Of course, it's just nervousness. It really bothers me not to be able to do my duties. I wanted to be a great help to John, a real support and comfort, but now I feel like I'm causing him trouble. Nobody would believe how hard it is for me to do even the little I can, like getting dressed, entertaining, and organizing things. Thankfully, Mary is really good with the baby. Such a sweet baby. But I can't be around him much because it makes me so nervous. I guess John has never been nervous in his life. He makes fun of me about this wallpaper. At first, he wanted to change the wallpaper, but later he said I was letting it get to me, and it's not good for a nervous person to give in to such thoughts. He said after the wallpaper, it would be the heavy bed, then the barred windows, and then the gate at the top of the stairs, and so on. You know this place is helping you, he said, and honestly, dear, I don't want to renovate the house just for a 3-month rental. Then let's go downstairs, I said, there are pretty rooms there. He hugged me and called me a blessed little silly, and said he would go to the cellar if I wanted and even have it whitewashed. But he's right about the beds and windows. It's a comfortable and airy room, and I wouldn't make him uncomfortable for no good reason. I'm starting to like the big room, except for the awful wallpaper. From one window, I can see the garden with shady covered walkways, colorful old-fashioned flowers, and twisted trees. From another, I have a lovely view of the water and a private pier. There's a nice shaded path from the house to the pier. Sometimes, I think I see people walking in those paths and walkways, but John tells me not to let my imagination run wild. He says that with my habit of making up stories and my imagination, my nervous condition might lead to all sorts of wild thoughts, and I should use my willpower and good sense to control it. So, I try. I sometimes think that if I were well enough, writing a bit would help me relax and get rid of some ideas. but I get tired quickly when I try. It's frustrating not having anyone to talk to about my work. John says when I'm better, we can invite Cousin Henry and Julia for a visit, but for now, he wouldn't want those interesting people around me. He says it would be like putting fireworks in my pillowcase. I wish I could get better faster, but I shouldn't think too much about it. This wallpaper looks like it knows how bad it is. There's a part where the pattern droops like a broken neck, and two round eyes stare at you upside down. I get really mad at how rude and never-ending it is. The pattern goes up and down and sideways, and those silly, unblinking eyes are everywhere. There's a spot where two pieces of wallpaper don't match, and the eyes go up and down, with one a bit higher than the other. I've never seen so much expression in something that's not alive, and we all know how expressive they can be. The furniture in this room is mismatched, but that's because we had to bring it up from downstairs. When they used this room as a playroom, they must have taken out the nursery stuff, and it's no wonder. The kids have made quite a mess here. The wallpaper, as I mentioned before, is torn in some spots, and it sticks like glue. They must have had lots of determination as well as dislike for it. The floor has scratches, marks, and pieces that have broken off. Even the walls have holes in some places, and this heavy old bed, which is all we found in the room, looks like it's been in a battle. But I don't mind all that, just the wallpaper. Here comes John's sister. She's such a sweet girl and takes good care of me. I mustn't let her catch me writing. She's a fantastic and enthusiastic housekeeper and thinks that writing made me sick. I can write when she's not here and see her from these windows. One window faces the road, a pretty, shady road, and the other looks out over the fields with tall trees and soft meadows. The wallpaper has another design in a different color, which is annoying. I can see a strange, irritating figure hiding behind the main pattern. Oh, there's my sister on the stairs. Well, the 4th of July is over. The people are gone, and I'm tired. John thought it might be good to have some company, so we invited my mother, Nellie, and the children to stay for a week. I didn't do much, though. Jenny takes care of everything. But it still wore me out. I feel like I don't have the energy for anything, and I'm becoming whiny and cry for no reason when I'm alone. I'm alone quite a bit now. John is often in town due to serious cases, and Jenny leaves me alone when I want her to. So, I take walks in the garden or sit on the porch under the roses. I also rest in this room. I'm starting to like this room despite the wallpaper, maybe because of it. I lie here on this big, unmoving bed and follow the wallpaper's pattern. It's like exercise. I start at the bottom, and I keep trying to find some kind of order in it. I know a bit about design, but this wallpaper doesn't follow any rules. It's chaotic and the shapes don't make sense. But, sometimes, it seems to go in waves like seaweed in the sea, and I get tired trying to follow it. I think I'll take a nap. I don't know why I'm writing this, but it's a relief. Most of the time, I'm very lazy and lie down a lot. John makes me take medicine and eat good food, but it's getting harder to think clearly. John loves me and takes care of me. He says I must use my willpower to control my silly thoughts. One good thing is that the baby doesn't have to stay in this room with the terrible wallpaper. If we hadn't used this room, the baby might have had to. I wouldn't want any child of mine to live in such a room. There are things in that wallpaper that only I know. Behind the obvious pattern, there are dim shapes that become clearer every day. It's always the same shape, like a woman crouching and creeping behind the pattern. I don't like it. I wonder, I'm starting to think, I wish John would take me away from here. It's tough to talk to John about how I feel because he's smart and loves me. John was asleep, so I watched the moonlight on the wallpaper. It felt strange, like the figure behind it wanted to come out. I got up to touch the wallpaper and see if it moved, and when I came back, John was awake. I told him that I'm not getting better here, and I want to leave. But he said our lease isn't up yet, and he can't leave town. He thinks I'm getting better because I'm eating more and my color is improving. I disagreed, but he hugged me and said we'd talk about it in the morning. I asked him if he'd leave, but he can't. He said leaving in 3 weeks is the plan, and I'm getting better. At night, I think the front and back patterns of the wallpaper move together or separately. The wallpaper is confusing during the day, with its strange colors and patterns. But at night, it becomes clearer. There's a woman behind it, I'm sure of it. I've started lying down a lot. John thinks it's good for me, but I don't sleep much. I've noticed something strange about John and Jenny. They seem to be interested in the wallpaper too. Life is more exciting now. I eat better, and John is happy to see me improve. I won't tell him it's because of the wallpaper. He might take me away. I'll wait 1 more week. I'm feeling better, even though I don't sleep much at night. During the day, the wallpaper is tiresome. It keeps changing, and it smells strange. The smell spreads throughout the house, and I can't stand it. I find that smell everywhere in the house, dining room, parlor, hall, and stairs. It even sticks to my hair. Even when I go for a ride and turn my head, there's that smell. It's a strange smell, hard to describe. It's gentle at first, but it lingers, and it's the most persistent smell I've ever encountered. In this damp weather, it's terrible. I wake up at night, and the smell is all around me. I've spent hours trying to figure out what it smells like. It's not bad, but it's odd. But now, I've gotten used to it. The only thing it reminds me of is the color of the wallpaper, a yellow smell. There's a strange mark near the floor that goes all around the room. It's like a smudge that goes behind everything, except the bed. It makes me dizzy. I've finally discovered something, I won't tell you what. I can't trust people too much. There are only 2 days left to remove the wallpaper, and I think John is starting to notice. I don't like the way he looks at me. He asked Jenny about my condition, and she gave a good report. She said I sleep a lot during the day. John asks me questions too, pretending to be loving and kind, but I can see through him. I think John and Jenny are secretly affected by the wallpaper. Today is the last day, and John won't be home until the evening. Jenny wanted to sleep with me, but I told her I'd rest better alone. As soon as it was moonlight, I peeled the wallpaper. I've locked the door, and I won't let anyone in until John comes home. I've found a rope that even Jenny didn't know about. I've tried to move the bed, but it won't move. I've peeled off as much wallpaper as I could reach from the floor. It's a terrible pattern, with strange shapes and colors that mock me. The woman comes out of the wallpaper. She looks dangerous. She is creeping on the floor. I'm getting so angry, I want to do something desperate, but I can't escape through the window. I want to creep like the woman. I'm securely tied up with my hidden rope. I don't want to go outside. I prefer to stay here and creep around as I please. I won't go outside, it's too different. Everything is green out there, not yellow like in here. But now John is at the door, trying to open it. He's calling for an axe. I can't let him break down the beautiful door. I tell him the key is outside under a plantain leaf. He finally goes to look, and I keep creeping. He comes back, and I tell him the key is outside. I repeat it until he finds it and opens the door. He's shocked and faints, blocking my way.